Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. Tonight I'm going to show you my version of how I make homemade meatloaf. The ingredients are down in the description. So if you want to, just follow me what I do and then maybe go back and get your ingredients and then follow me, guys. The first thing I do, I'm going to wash my hands. Wash your hands real good. And if you don't have gloves on, then I would advise you guys to take your jewelry off, because you're going to be mixing a lot of things in with your hands and you don't want to get all that hamburger and all that stuff inside your rings and all that. So yes, I would advise you to take those off. So the first thing we're going to do is set your oven, which I've already got mine set your oven to 350. And usually it takes, this is about 1.5 pounds of hamburger. It usually takes about an hour to an hour and a half for it to all cook. So the first thing I'm going to do is move you guys down a little bit so you can see my ingredients. Right here's, you can watch what I'm doing. We're going to take the hamburger. Like I said, I've got about 1.5 pounds here. We're going to add this in the pan. Add that in there. Then we are going to put in, I have 2 eggs, but I don't know where my other egg is. Hold on, guys, I have to get another egg. I don't know what I have to. You put in 2 eggs. 2 eggs. And that's what I'm doing now. Okay. There's 1 egg. There's 2 eggs. Now, next thing you do, now, me and my husband like green peppers and onions in our meatloaf. But you don't have to put the green peppers in your meatloaf if you don't want to. This is just something that we do. Remember that. This is my recipe of how I make it. So, anyway, I put this is about 1/2 cup of green peppers. I'm going to add that to this. Make sure you get it all in there. And we're going to add another 1/2 cup of diced onions. Put that in there with your hamburger. Then, what my little secret is the Lipton, the Lipton brown onion soup mix. Now, a lot of people puts theirs in, I think, dry in their meatloaf. But what I do is, I will take a pack of this right here out, and I'll add about, this is how much water I add to it, because I like mine pretty thick. So this is how much water that I add to this. You don't even have to add water. A lot of people puts theirs in dry. I don't. So I put in about this much water, just enough to get it pretty moist. And then I heat it a little bit. That way them ingredients can kind of get into that water and get into that moisture. And then that way your flavor goes into your meat a lot better. So we're going to put that in here. Make sure we get every bit of that in there. And that was Lipton onion soup. Right here. And then you see how much water. Maybe it might have been 1/4 cup, even that. And now, before I mix it up, what I'm going to do is I'm going to spray my pan, my baking pan, with this. You can use any kind of spray. This is like a spray butter, but you can use anything to keep it from, and the reason why I'm doing this is because it keeps it from sticking. So you really want to, grease it up really good, because you don't want your meatloaf to stick. You don't want it to burn. You don't want it to stick. All right, we've got our eggs in. We've got our gravy stuff in. We've got our green pepper. We've got our onion. And I do add, I just add just a little bit of salt. I just go by taste. And, a pinch, as they call it, a pinch of salt. And a pinch of pepper. And we've got all that. And before I mix this, I want to show you guys something else for your topping. Now, on the topping, what I do is I take 2 tablespoons of mustard, 1/4 cup of ketchup, and 3 tablespoons of brown sugar. And this is what you come up with. This right here, this is going to be for your top. This will go on the top once we get this mixed and into our mold. And also, don't forget, we got to have our crackers. Once I get this mixed up, I'm going to add these crackers to make it mold. You want to make that meatloaf mold up to where it stands good, where it's got a good stand, you know. You don't want it where it's real mushy and it just wants to go flat. You want to make it where it molds good, it stands up good, then you know your meatloaf is ready to go in the oven. I mean, you know, once you put your topping on, then your meatloaf's ready to go in the oven, okay? So what we're going to do is mix our hamburger up first. So here we go with the gushy. So I take both my hands and I mix all this together. That's mixing your eggs and your gravy, your lipton onion, and your onions and your green pepper. It gets it all in there really good. And you just keep mixing, which right now, like I said, you know you gotta have crackers. Now a lot of people use this oats. A lot of people use this like breadcrumbs, things like that. Now me, myself, I just use the crackers. So let me wipe off my hands and I'm getting ready to do that now. Alright, we've got crackers right here. As you see, I've got about a half pack. So what I do is I just go down, I just go so many down. Like I've got a half pack here. I grab half this pack to start with. And then I just crush them as good as you can, because you don't want big crackers sticking out of your meatloaf. And like I said, some people use breadcrumbs and oats and stuff, you know, to keep, you know, maybe from the bigger crack, you know, in case of that. I don't know. But I'm going to add a few more. I can tell just by looking at it that it's got to have more. But I'm going to use about this amount more. And then I'm going to mix it up to see what my texture looks like. And I'm a very messy cook, but that's okay, because I always clean it up when I'm done. Always clean it up when I'm done. So I can tell you right now, by me mixing it, it is not stiff enough to me. It's got to have more. So we are going to put the rest of these crackers in here. I'm just going to go a few at a time so I can get them really ground up there in my hands. I usually grind them up with my hands. That. Get it down in there. And then I'm using the rest of what I had left. And I'm putting them in here. You guys have got to try this meatloaf. I'm not kidding you. It is so good. So good. And one thing I hate is bland meatloaf. Bland. That's what makes the difference with your Lipton soup. With your Lipton soup there. Is that makes the difference right there in your meatloaf. If you don't want a plain, bland meatloaf, then by gosh, add that brown soup. That brown Lipton, it doesn't have to be Lipton, but that brown onion soup is what it is. And if I were you, I would add a little bit of water to it, just like I showed you guys. And then, you know, mix that all together. Because that way all your flavor in that water, you heat that up, all that flavor gets in that water like that. And then that gets all the way through your meat and stuff. That way it's not bland. Okay, now, here is the texture, if you can tell. There's the hamburger, and that's the texture that I want. Now I'm going to show you how you can tell on the texture. I'm going to put it in this pan. I usually take the whole thing out. Put it in this little ball. I'll take you guys down here in just a minute. Let me put this hamburger in this pan, and then let me wipe off my hands. And then I'll switch you guys down where you can see a little better. Put you down just a little bit here. Okay, there's the hamburger right there. And what we're going to do now, we're going to make the mold. Now see how this sticks up really good? See the way it is? That's the way you want your meatloaf. Just like that. Just where you can just do this. And it's still, you know, it still stands up the way you want it to. And you can make it the height that you want it. It's not that big of a deal. If you want it smaller, you know, make it smaller. But I like mine myself. Now, you know, if you make it thicker, you're going to have to bake it a little longer. Because you got more of the width and it's going to take a little longer for it to bake. But anyway, this is what I've got done now. I'm going to show you guys this before I put the topping on. Here is the meatloaf right here. It's getting ready to go into the oven. And now we're going to put this topping on. Now, I probably made a little bit too much of this. Like I said, it's brown sugar, a little bit of mustard, and a little bit of ketchup. And I will leave that. It's in the description. The ingredients for this is. And I just take mine and I kind of pour it on the top. Just like this. And I like mine. I like my meatloaf. That's why we add the mustard to it. Because when you put your brown sugar in, and if you add it to ketchup, of course you're going to have too sweet of a taste. Because your ketchup's already sweet. So, that's where the mustard comes in. Your mustard gives it more of a sweet and sour, you know, topping. And that's about it. Now, I am going to, just to be on the safe side, I am going to add just a little bit of water on the bottom. Just a little on the bottom, just to keep it from scorching. Just a little. And, as you guys can see, my meatloaf is done. And I will be back to show you the finished look. So, see you here. I will see you guys in a little bit. Thanks for watching.